So the topic this morning is surrender, a practice. And the first question that springs right to mind is practice. Practice for what? Why are we practicing? Most of us think of spiritual growth as a process of changing our minds. Because literally that's what it's all about, because we are mind. Of Course in Miracles suggests that we are ideas in the mind of God and have never left home. So, by that definition, the concept of separation is impossible. Literally impossible. Because ideas never leave the mind that creates them. They're always there. So practice. What are we doing practicing? We all know that that's the way you get to Carnegie Hall. Practice, practice, practice. So if spiritual growth, spiritual awareness is our goal, we probably ought to practice. Those of us who are of a certain age had a steady diet of cowboy movies when we were kids. And in those cowboy movies, you know, there was one group or another that always seemed to get the drop on the other guys. And they'd throw up their hands and they'd say, I surrender, I surrender. And that's not exactly what we're talking about, because that kind of surrender is really akin to giving up. And we're not talking about giving up. We're talking about a process whereby we choose to let go of our insatiable need to control everything. We need to control. Because if we're not in control, what's going on? You know, we're going to be surprised. Unpleasant things may show up. And how in the world do we deal with this if we're not in charge? So I invite you to think of surrender not so much as giving up, but giving over. And it's a total change of tenor, a total change of tone. When you give over, you're just saying, I don't want to deal with this. I can't come up with the right answer. I can't come up with how to deal with what seems to be going on. And the invitation is issued to Spirit, because indeed there is an answer. Spirit is within you and is available to you. So we simply allow Spirit to take over, to direct what we say, to direct what we do, to direct who we say what we say to. That actually is available to everyone. However, life shows up and, you know, we forget. We simply forget to invite Spirit to show us a new way. I don't know about you, but by Monday afternoon, I'm not here. Actually, I am, but I'm not thinking about things spiritual when Tuesday rolls around. And life gets in the way. And the biggest issue we have is remembering to be in touch with Spirit, to allow with a possibility that we don't have any idea what's going on or what to do. Is there anybody here that has it all figured out? Raise your hand. I want to see. No. We don't have much of everything figured out, you know? Things just show up. People get sick, jobs get lost, exported overseas, all kinds of things happen. The stock market goes up, the stock market goes down, our 401ks rise and fall just like the swells in the ocean. And consequently, we get all bent out of shape. We worry about everything. What if we outlive our money? What if I can't pay my bills? My invitation is to give that over to Spirit. Do not try to figure out how to be without difficulties, because that's not going to happen. Difficulties are going to show up. There's simply no other way to be in this world of duality. Difficulties will happen. So, surrendering is literally a path to freedom. And that freedom is the freedom to become more of who you are, to become more deeply aware of your connection to Spirit. And that's what we're after. That's what spiritual growth is about. And if you don't remember, that's half the name of this organization, Spiritual Growth, the Interfaith Center for Spiritual Growth. So spiritual growth requires, unfortunately, it requires practice. Then there are hundreds of practices calculated to lead you to God realization. And that's a wonderful term, God realization. Paramahansa Yogananda referred to it as self-realization with a capital S. Because the capital S self, the real you, is an expression of God. So in order to realize yourself, your capital S self, you have to tune in to divinity. You have to be guided by Spirit to actually remember on Tuesday afternoon that there's something you can do besides screeching at the guy who just cut you off. Because that's what this is all about. It's surrendering everything to Spirit. But Lord knows, we tend to hang on for dear life to the status quo. I mean, we have grabbed it, status quo, and we hang on and we won't let it go. And the reason is we're still trying to be in control. We're still trying to know everything about what's going on. We're trying to have it all figured out so that no difficulties show up. But that's a process of creating another illusion. Because the fact is that you can't control anything or anybody. The only thing that you have even the remotest opportunity to control is your reaction to what shows up in life. That is in your control. Almost nothing else is. Have you ever tried to control your significant other? How'd that go for you? There's another expression that's often used around the 12-step tables. It's this, it's let go and let God. And that's the same concept. Surrender. Surrender your will to the presence of Spirit. Surrender. Give it over. Don't give up. Just transfer responsibility. And what is responsibility? It's the ability to respond. And if you give over the responses that you make to the guidance of Spirit, almost never will you be in difficulty, because you are in touch with that guidance. It's, it's just not easy. And if it were easy, we'd all be enlightened, wouldn't we? And what we are dealing with is the inertia of years, decades, perhaps even lifetimes. Tremendous inertia of doing what we've been trained to do, thinking the way we've been taught to think. And that is what gets us into difficulty, because we are trying to control the uncontrollable. Talk about fruitless ventures. That doesn't make any sense. Simply begin that process of surrender. It'll make all the difference in the world. And that doesn't mean that you don't meditate, doesn't mean that you don't pray, it doesn't mean that this is the only practice to engage in. But this is a critical practice that frees you from all of the worry. There's no point in worrying about anything. In my study of human history, and I admit that I am not the world's greatest historian, but I have never, ever seen a case where a bad situation was fixed by worry. It just doesn't happen. So worry is fruitless. Worry is a waste of your psychic energy. Worry generates energies and enzymes and acids and chemicals in your body that literally eat your stomach up. Did you want to have holes in your stomach? Do you like ulcers? Oh, well, let's worry about something else. Give it up. Just let go of it. Just let go. In the Monday night course group, we read from a book called The Way of Mastery. And there's a section in chapter 35 that's just wonderful. I'm going to take just a moment and share it with you as I close. This is a book that was, like the Course, was written by Jesus, channeled through a different channel. The Course comes through Helen Schuckman, and this comes through a man named John Mark Hammer. And most of the folks who read both, think of this as very user-friendly. So this is the first person, this is Jesus speaking. The secret then, as I've shared with you many times, is to practice seeking first the kingdom. Never let a day go by in which you fail to ponder the great mystery of God's presence. Never let a morning go by without beginning your day in this way. Surrender all thought of what you know and have believed. Rest in gratitude to the one who has birthed you. Ask only to be revealed for you greater truth, greater wisdom, greater capacity to know and extend perfect love, perfect trust, and perfect peace. Do that, and everything will change. And now to